Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Um, I'm going to say hello to a few people and then I'm fixing to get started. Let's see here. It's February 1st, right? So that means that, wait for it. Let's see. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning to see who we're Connie Balmer. Oh, I'm sorry. Connie Balmer. Connie Balmer was here first. Connie, I am getting a complex because I feel bad about keeping you up so late. But thank you so much for being here. Hi, Black Queen, Panther. Let's see, Cookies and Cream. And oh, by the way, happy Black History Month. In the United States, it is Black History Month. I believe in the UK, what was it, October was Black History Month? Well, for us, it is Black History Month here in the United States. So, to everyone here in the United States, happy Black History Month. And of course, every month is Black History Month. No other group in the United States is so interwoven into the very fabric of this country than the African American. It is the sweat, blood, and tears of the African American that literally built this country. And then, of course, as I have gotten older and a little wiser, I hope, I have realized that it is that same blood, sweat, and tears that built another country. Um, and you can mix that in with a few other groups, but they built another country. And of course, that is the British Empire. All of those fine country homes that I visited whilst in the UK, I had no idea where the origins of that money comes from. Now, that being said, the way that the common laborer, the very serfs of the British economy that were not black, that were not on some plantation in the Caribbean, um, there's a story to be told there as well. But of course, it's Black History Month, so I'm not going to go into all of that. But you could clearly understand how it was so easy to brutalize Africans when you consider looking at the history of the common laborer in Britain, how short their lifespans were. So I'm like, well, at least I know where it comes from. But yeah, but that's a story that's never really told. But I tell you, there are some atrocities within the UK that had nothing to do with Black people. And that's one of the reasons why I am such a strong proponent of the modern labor union movement, because I think with all the riches and all of the privilege that the world has, the working class people should be the ones to benefit from it the most, not the 1%, not the upper crust. And unfortunately, far too often, we are pitted against one another, race by race, religion by religion, and of course, the socioeconomic groups. Um, that is one of the ways that the British Empire was built. And of course, even after the American Revolution, that type of, you know, divide and conquer was something that the United States government has been more than capable of without any input from our cousins in Britain. So, know your history. That's all I can tell you guys. Know your history. Hey, Anastasia, Anna Boyd, Patty Askew, Misty Blue. Hi. Who else is here? Susie Q, Elaine Parker. Hi. And Mary H, Celia C, Crystal Scott, Elnora Bowden. Hello, thank you for being here. Oh, really? It starts your birthday month. Very cool. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Teresa Edwards is here. Very cool. Very cool. Lucy Wen. Hello. Hello. And Tamikia Green is here. Thank you. Nurse, wife, mother. Thank you for being here. All right. So let's get started. Again, it is Black History Month. Yes. Um, I'm excited because it is a chance to reflect on the contribution of the African American here in the United States and even beyond. You can find us summer everywhere. All right, but let's start off with something really fun. So Michael Smerconish is a reporter, and I think he may be an attorney or something like that, education wise, but he does a lot of appearances on MSNBC, amongst other places, very politically active. And anyway, I don't know if this is a real thing that a person could buy, but I suppose it is. I told you guys a while ago, and especially since it's Black History Month, it seems like this is an appropriate time for it. But there always seems to be that one black guy that everybody know in the community, that one African American man who comes forward, t-shirts, t-shirts. And of course, it's always free somebody t-shirts. And sometimes the person ain't even locked up and they're still selling a free so-and-so t-shirt. So, of course, somebody would come forward with a t-shirt for light-skinned Harry. So, I'm not even sure Michael Smerconish is the one who developed this t-shirt. He may have brought it from Bruh Man, who was selling them t-shirts on the corner. I don't know. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I don't know how you get this t-shirt, but if you go to Michael Smerconish um, Twitter or maybe some other social media, you'll find it. But Femi Devin Ayen Badajo Sr. is well, you can see that former running back, Femi, wears his Smirch merch, joining me in standing up for Harry against the firm. So that is a lot of fun. And oh, by the way, thank you so much, Connie Balmer, for the super sticker. And also thank you so much for the membership. Remember, the memberships to Royal Sussex is still a bargain at just $4.99. So thank you very much, Connie Balmer. Thank you for being here. And thank you for staying up with us. And you too, Elaine Parker. I know I'm going to cut into your sleep, but thank you for being here. All right. So I think it's a pretty cool t-shirt, and I love the way that the crown is kind of hanging on the letter Y. Very, very cool. Okay. Now, I just kind of found this while I was prepping today. I forgot I had it, but it is to give you, a sense of the violence that has been perpetrated against African Americans in this country. That map right there is a timetable of the atrocities, of course, along with the locations. And over the years, I mean, dating all the way back, over the years, there have been several acts of violence perpetrated against African Americans in this country. And in some cases, like with Tulsa, the biggest reason why that happened was for the fact that there was Black prosperity. And of course, all it took was for someone to make an accusation, and there you go. And just think how, as much as we like to believe that life has really moved forward and these things are not possible anymore, they certainly are. With the Tulsa incident, they said it was because there was an incident where a white woman was on the elevator and there was a Black man on the elevator. And when they emerged from the elevator, there was speculation that he had done something to her, or she was embarrassed and said so. Whatever the case is, that is how they said it started. Now you got to remember, this is after World War One, 1921. So World War One, you have all of these black infantry soldiers that have come back to the United States, and they were expecting, okay, we've helped save Europe. We want freedom. We want equity. We want to have our fair and equal stake in this country. And of course, couple that with the oh gosh, what was that movie, Birth of the Nation? One of the one of the first big box office movie back in that era. And of course, what about Chicago? In Chicago, there was an imaginary line at one of the beaches, and they said that this young African American man crossed the imaginary line, and he was pelted with rocks, and that led to a big race riot, and a bunch of people died there too. So in all of these incidents, a bunch of people died in Rosewood. You can see that there. So that is a map of some of those massacres that have occurred around the United States, and the timetable in which they happened. And it was only because of racism. And in some cases, again, these were prosperous Black people, and that seemed to upset the natural order of things. And so not only were the Black communities attacked, but they were also looted. They would take whatever they chose to take, burn down the homes, and leave bodies in the street. And there's really no accurate count, because no one really wanted to count these victims of these massacres. But they did happen here in the United States. And as you can see, in some cases, not so long ago. So that is my introduction to Black History Month, is to remind people about the sacrifice. Thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Wednesday to you. Okay, so let's go to something a little more fun, shall we? Oh, by the way, let me go back for a second, because I didn't give you guys a chance to have any comments here. So let me see. Ann Fu says, because these are the ones that make a difference. Imagine millions of people with these free hairy t-shirts. Those entitled bullies would go ballistic. Like at the Today Show, standing out there at the Today Show. Wouldn't that be fun if people were popping up on television with those t-shirts? Let me see. I don't know. I kept changing my time, and and at first I was like, well, I'll go on a half hour after she starts, because she's, usually wrapping things up by then. And then I wasn't ready, and she wasn't ready. So it's like that sometimes. Trust me. You think you're all set, and you're not. So, but I hope she's okay. Let me see. Rhonda says, Baron, reason people don't want Black history taught in America is because some people would have to give up land that they stole. Yeah, that's why the British government cannot make an apology, because an admission of guilt, an apology, would infer that there is some type of reparations that are due, and that is the last thing they want to do, is pay any reparations. So better to just acknowledge, but never apologize. And uh, as we have been discussing, ever since the Queen died, and for some people even before that, the British and atrocities, the British and genocide, the British and conquest and colonization, that is a subject and a topic that will be never ending, because as long as there's no admission of guilt, as long as there's no proper conversations had, I mean, the queen has managed to reign and die without ever having to atone or mention anything that happened during her time as sovereign. Lets you know that they are just hoping that time will erase all of these thoughts and memories, and that they can gaslight people into seeing it in a softer light, instead of, the ugly truth. That is what they're hoping for, and it's it's a fool's errand. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly, because people don't forget. And that is why we have to be very appreciative of the fact that, in spite of the fact that the uh, internet has been so infected by these propaganda campaigns and these bots and all of the deliberate misinformation, there are platforms and there are spaces, even without the social media. I mean, there are people who have been maintaining pages or websites, if you will, where they have the real information. And before that, it was really limited to, Afrocentric bookstores where people could go and find such history. And of course, one of my favorite quotes is from Desmond Tutu, is when he said that when the white people showed up in Africa, we had the land, and they had the Bible. And then they said, okay, let us close our eyes and pray. And when we opened our eyes, we had the Bible and they had the land. So leave it to Desmond Tutu to put it that way. But that's pretty accurate as far as I'm concerned. That sounds like the way things worked out. And then, of course, there are other ways that people have put it, like, for instance, when they showed up, they had a gun in one hand and the Bible in the other. Also very accurate. So, but yeah, that's how it's done. That's how these things have been perpetrated over the years, and and like with China, the opium. I mean, the British went to China and got a massive part of the population addicted to opium. And they made so much money pulling wealth out of China in the midst of all of this opium use. And of course, finally, they had to give back Hong Kong, and that was it. That was it. So it's a global thing. Is the empire. That's why when people say, I reject the OBE, you should. You should reject that OBE. Why would you want that as part of your name? Why would you want to be part of that title? And, I'm sure a lot of people have just blindly walked into those titles and didn't give it a thought. But as Maya Angelou say, when you know better, you do better. And when you know better, you do better. And if you know that that is the history of where those trinkets are, or should I say, why those trinkets are named so, then you should probably turn it down. You should not accept it. So once you know better, then you really should do better. Okay. Huh. 1 second, you guys. Let me check out something. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Just wanted to take a look at something here. I was looking for, leave it to me once I get to this point. I was looking for a video that I wanted to share about that very topic. And I can't think for the life of me how I labeled that video. Um, oh man, and that's too bad too. Because I think it would so topical right now, and I can't remember for the life of me how I labeled it. Yep, I'm sorry, but it is the start of Black History Month, so I promise I will have it for you at another time, maybe even tomorrow. But I can't remember how I labeled it. Goodness, oh well. Let me get rid of that, and there we go. All right, so I'm going to take a look at a few more of your comments, and then I am going to carry on. Thank you so much for your patience. And it was a James O'Brien soundbite that I wanted to share, and oh man, I hope I can find it. Okay, so I'm scrolling. I see there's a lot of comments here. Hey, Mo Shannon wants to, yeah, DeSantis, he wants to do away with Black history in Florida. That guy's not going to be president. I promise you he's not. Let me see. Okay. And Lorna Williams says, you cannot stop Black history. I learned most of mine from home since not much was taught in Canadian schools at the time I went. Wow, I had no idea. Okay. Well, like I say, there is, the information, it knows no bounds now. It's kind of hard to put that genie back in the bottle because we don't have to depend on the individual school districts to um, provide that information. Now, I learned quite a bit when I was in school, and what would shock you is that I had this very conservative U.S. history teacher, and she didn't limit a lot of the information that she shared. Now, she and I used to have these debates all the time, and I was a high school student, and she she had her opinions and I had mine. And there were days in class where the rest of the kids, their heads were going back and forth like a tennis match. But yeah, it was so weird. But I would have these raging debates with this high school teacher who was a little conservative that loved to wear red. And oh man, I tell you, those were good times. But it was always done with respect, and I really, really liked her, and I always stayed after class and spoke to her. But I had my opinions, and I, I couldn't bear the fact that even though she was very good at her job and she did not withhold information about slavery as much as she knew, but she still was very much politically conservative, and I wasn't going to have that, in my presence. So let me see here. Black Queen says the colonizers are literally demons from another dimension. They have left nothing but death and destruction for centuries. To date, pure evil. Yep. Thank you so much, Black Queen. That is breathtaking when you look at a map and you see all the places that the British, the Dutch, the French, even the Germans, when you look at all of the places that they've been, and let's see, didn't Italy go into parts of Africa? And there are some parts of Africa where the official language is still Portuguese. Um, I forget which place that is, but if you guys want to see a really great movie, um, is it called Palm Trees or is it? something in the snow. It's is that a Portuguese or a Spanish movie? Oh yeah, and of course Spain. Spain has had their romp through Africa. Um, but yeah, I forget the name of the movie, but gosh, I've seen it some years ago, and it was about like a revolution in whatever African country it was, and this family that had made money from, what was it, the cocoa plantations or whatever it was it palm trees in the snow, or oh, I can't remember. But anyway, that was a really good movie. Sheila Watson says, Baron, keep a notebook with dates and times that you download a video and what you name it. Yeah, it's not that. It's just I made it and I never referenced it again, but the problem is, how did I label it? But you're right, it would be helpful if I had a notebook, but then of course I wouldn't know where that is in short time. But yeah, that's the problem is so I think I've labeled a video one way, and then when I finally find it, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, a little bit, but you would think it was named something else. But yeah, that happens to be a lot. But thank you so much for that suggestion. Okay, my 5-year-old came home from kindergarten and told me about Bessie Coleman. I was impressed. I love the story of Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman was a manicurist in Chicago in the early days of aviation. And she was reading these stories about people that was actually flying in that new contraption, the aeroplane. And so she dreamed of being a pilot. And because there was no schools in the United States that would train her as a pilot, after hearing about Josephine Baker and other Black people going to Paris and making it big, she just left the United States and went to Paris. And then, of course, when she got to Paris, they told her, they said, no, no. Don't be absurd. No. So, as she learned to speak French and demonstrated that she was very serious, finally there was a flight school that took her on. And because of that, she was the first woman, not African American woman or African descent woman, but the first woman to have an international pilot's license. So, yeah, one of my favorite stories, Bessie Coleman. And there's actually a street named for her near the O'Hare Airport called Bessie Coleman Drive. So that is Bessie Coleman. But thank you for sharing that. Gives me an opportunity to talk about it. Okay. Mo Shannon is here. Mo Shannon finally finished the Audible version of Spare. So that is pretty cool. Nope, I have not. Nope, I have not. Okay, so moving on to something a little more fun. All I can say is, was it something I said? Was it something I said? Can you guys imagine what that something may be? Now, I pointed out last week that Robert Jobson, he changed his profile picture on Twitter, and I took a good look at it. And not only did he put another picture of himself up looking kind of sweaty. I mean, if you're going to have something that is an illustrated photo of yourself, then at least you can kind of dry out that, that T-zone that seems kind of sticky. But no, he didn't. He just put it up there. But when I looked at that, I said, gosh, he looks familiar. Is that? No, it couldn't be. But why would he put his photo in place of his profile picture? Well, I said to myself, if I didn't know better, I would say that that was the dear leader. Yes, he looks just like the dear leader, the late North Korean leader, Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un's father. He looks just like the dear leader. Well, somebody must have told him I said that because he decided to change it to something that looked more, shall we say, Western. I know, me and my big mouth. It must have been something I said, so he changed it to something that appeared more Western. Well, I can't say as though I blame him. And of course, and you know what? I guess he must have heard some other things I said because if you notice, he doesn't look as sticky on this one as he appears on some of his other photos. Because I'm telling you, there's something about him. It's just like you can put a post-it note on him and you wouldn't need any epoxy because he always looks kind of sticky. Uh-oh, went too far. There we go. He always looks kind of sticky. So that is likely my input. Someone probably told him that, the nickname of the North Korean leader, his name was, they called him Dear Leader. And so that's become my nickname for him on occasion is Dear Leader. I'm like, oh, there's Dear Leader. So I guess Robert Jobson is a fan, huh? Maybe he watches Royal Sussex. I couldn't say that I blame him. It's more fun over here than over there. Okay, and then let's get to this messy person. Let me do a little break beat so I can hydrate. And here we go. So, shaping us. Um, Princess Kate keeps burning through money to make early years video. Well, that comes from Kaiser of Celibacy. Kaiser has a certain way with words, like right here. Back when the Princess of Wales was the Duchess of Cambridge, they spent real money trying to fluff up her body. I'm sorry. Let me see what that is. Oh, okay. Fluff up her busy work and early years keenery. As you know, it is keening season when Kate is keen to do stuff. I remember the slick, stupid commercial which used archived footage of Martin Luther King Jr., Malala, and JFK, all to promote early years. I remember the pie charts and the haphazard data grabs for her five big questions. Real money is being spent to embiggen Kate. It's like a collective delusion when KP staffers are allowing her to pretend in full view of the public that she's a credible expert in the field of childhood development. And that was from Kaiser. Now, there's more to this, so you'll have to go to Kaiser's webpage for Celibacy. So if you follow Kaiser on Twitter, that's where you'll find the full article. But yeah, Kaiser has a certain way of writing that I love. And she and her partner on Celibacy, they usually come on Saturday mornings. They've been missing quite a few Saturdays, but they're always fun to listen to. And she, actually, they are both very quick to call out the royal family and to call out the in particular the Keening Kate. As a matter of fact, that's where I first heard the phrase "the Keening season" is from Celibacy, and I was like, you know what? That's true. It's all she always has this rollout at the first of the year, and it's like she's everywhere. Now, I have to say, this has been more exposure of Kate than I've ever seen. I mean, overly exposed. And I'm so tired of looking at her face. I don't know what to do. But you know what? If Kate wants to, you know, find out what shape somebody's in, if she's concerned about somebody's shape, why don't you know they say charity starts in the home? So there's other people who may not be in the best of shape who may need an intervention besides people's children. So all I'm saying, and I'm not saying that there's any issues or anything, but what shape is the other people in her life? They may be in a certain shape or disposition that require. I'm sorry, I couldn't hold that. That requires intervention. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if I was Kate, I would look around and try to decide, is there someone closer to me that needs to have their shape or what shape they're in assessed, or someone closer to me than other people's children that may require an intervention? I don't know. I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, there's always people that are right up under your nose that may have issues or problems or situations that you may want to, you know, take a measure of them and see what kind of shape they're in, right? I mean, if we're going to do the shape of us, then, look a little closer. I mean, there's always that opportunity to look a little closer to see if there's somebody else who is not in the best of shape. That's all I'm saying. So, but you know what I love about this? I love that the one on the right, hi, 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 hi. And then, of course, my other favorite, look at the guy in the background. Look at the guy in the background. What could he be possibly thinking as he is sitting close to the mother of the future queen? What could he possibly be thinking at this point? I mean, he goes there to see a football match, and by the time he leaves, he has a completely different impression of the social climbers of this world. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. The only thing I want to say is hi. How's that for shape? What kind of shape is she in, huh? Hi. Hi. My daughter's going to be queen. Hi. Oh man. The shade. The shade. Okay. Now, sorry, Kate. It's been done before by someone so much younger, and that's more important. Anyone can understand. I'm sorry. What's more important is that anyone can understand this little lady, cosplay Kate, Princess Mumbleton. Well, this young lady right here, she actually did a TED talk. Everything that they have just spent millions of dollars to convey for Kate's keening season, for this big rollout, is already featured in this TED talk. This young lady right here, this child prodigy, if you will, our healthy development depends on these top 5 things. Does that sound familiar? These top 5 things, right? And when I say top 5, I'm not talking about a football match, curiously present glass, a beverage in a paper bag, and a witness. I'm not talking about those 5 things. I'm talking about I'm talking about this young lady who actually has already spelled out these things that someone else has been mumbling about and inferring for what, 20 years now, their life's work. And so at age 41, you know, that's when she finally decides to share with the world something that she obviously has grasped decades ago. So, hi, better late than never. Hi, hi. Oh man. But okay, I got to stop that. But yeah, so that is what has been shared on the social media. It seems as though Molly Wright has already discussed this at length in the TED Talk. She's got to be the youngest person I've ever seen in the TED Talk. So if you guys want to see it, you just want to look her up. Molly Wright TED Talk. She's a student, obviously. Now, I don't know how long ago this was filmed, but I do know that, well, there's a little clip of it on the social media where you could actually hear her for yourself. And anyway, that's probably where it was. Well, or should I say, the information has been out there for a long time, and Kate is trying to build an image upon this. So there you go. Molly Wright. Let me see here. Okay, I see that was a year ago, perhaps. Yeah, looks like a year ago. I'll let you even hear a little bit of it. If you notice, she actually sounds way more coherent. She sounds far more coherent than Kate. As a matter of fact, I don't know why they didn't just hire her to do. They should have hired her to do Kate's presentation. At least we can understand her. Wow. Okay. Hey, expat lifestyle. Let's see. The Earplugs Years program has been done before. 22 years ago, a similar program was launched in Canada. Yeah, and how long has Kate been a part of the royal family? About 22 years. She married in 2011, and she's been hanging around 10 years before that. So that's about 20 years of being, you know, in and around the circle of that family. So about 10 years of dating, and then what, going on 21, 22, I'm sorry, 11 years of marriage. So yeah, so that's about 22 years she's been hanging around that family. And this started about 22 years ago. So somewhere along the line, she must have heard something. Well, somebody, let's face it, somebody else said it to her. And they said, well, why don't you try to do that thing we saw in Canada? Okay. And that's what happened. So thank you for that. I knew that the let me see. And they went on their tour of Canada back in what, 2012? So that's, yeah, when they went on that royal tour in Canada back in 2011, 2012. Now, see, it's all coming together. I'm telling you, that Sussex Squad Detective Agency always gets to the truth. So there you go. Keening Kate. If you can take a look there, first 5 years, that's part of Molly's presentation. I need to pull this down so I can see it. Agree, given the complexities, societal and political ramifications of the issues, Kate's approach isn't the best or sustainable way forward. As you said, the goods being delivered right now feel light, shall we say, a stunt rather. Molly is right. There you go. So that is one of the many responses to Keening Kate on social media. And until then, you guys just try to be strong because Kate is everywhere. She was on Good Morning America. Well, they talked about her on Good Morning America. And of course, she was on the Lorraine show. They had Kate rather than Russell Myers. You know, sometimes they have a Russell Myers, but this time they talked about the Kate. Oh my God, Lorraine is a hoot. Um, and so, Russell Myers, I hate seeing Russell Myers and Lorraine together. The only thing I hate worse than that is seeing Russell Myers making his way through Australian television. But Russell Myers is one of the most awful people, and so is Lorraine because she always comes across as like some kind of Hansel and Gretel character, but she's awful too. Linda Danish, thank you so much for the membership, and thank you so much for joining Royal Sussex. Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you so much. Russell Myers, do you think? Oh my God, I gotta stop. Oh, thank you. You flatter me. It's not that great, but I'm working on it. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Uh, okay, so again, I decided to just, I thought, like, you know how they say if you are exposed to snakes long enough that you become immune to their venom? Well, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to expose you to Keening Kate's face, because it's a bit jarring when you have to see it pop up in unexpected places. So I figured that if I, just ease this on you a couple of times, that when you see her again, you won't, jump back in your seat. So again, there's Kate airbrushed and Kate not airbrushed. All right. So just kind of take it in, right? I know, the Bride of Picasso. Take it in, and at some point, when it is etched into your corneas, you won't even see it, right? She'll be there, but she won't. So that's how I'm dealing with things. Okay, so today, over 40,000 people hit the streets of London. They are responsible for your poverty. They are responsible for your poverty. Now, if you guys don't know this guy, his name is Mick Lynch, and he is what is it? The railroad union? Is he the boss of the railroad union? The transportation union, whatever it is. This is a guy that's stopping the trains. So he has been vilified in the worst possible ways. Anytime they invite him on television, it's an ambush. Anytime they interview him on the street, there's another ambush. They love to try to catch him out, but he has such common sense wisdom and such a sense of purpose that he is immune to their attacks. It's like being overexposed to an over airbrushed individual. He is immune to their attacks. He's made of Teflon, and that bothers them. It's like no matter what they throw at him, giggling, grinning, uh, hand jiving, it doesn't matter. It has no effect on him. So I love to watch interviews with him because they can't lay a glove on him. He's untouchable. So this is one of their nightmares. The UK, even though the most media outlets do not cover it, at least not over there, but even here in the US, they don't really give much conversation to it. Very little lip service. But if you know what's been happening, the um, labor unions, the various unions are, what do they call it, an industrial act? They have been going on strike. They have been picketing. They have hit the streets. And this is starting to look more like Paris. Now, it is no way, excuse me, near a real French revolution, but it's starting to look like some of those French protests and strikes. So it is only going to get more interesting if the government does not find money to increase the pay, to increase the salaries of these working class people. It is the ultimate betrayal. Um, it is the workers who has built this incredible economy. And unfortunately, after all these years of Tory government, the UK is losing prestige and they are losing money. They are going broke. There are people who won't invest in the United Kingdom because they feel as though it's not a safe place to do business. Now, there are still plenty of people that are trading with the UK, but increasingly, people are starting to think twice. Rather than go through this complication, why don't I just, go anywhere in Europe where they already got their selves together? But and don't forget too, a lot of this is outside money that actually uplifts the Tory party, and by uplifting them, they undermine working class people. This is a tragedy before our very eyes, and it's the worst part about it is it's unnecessary. And as James O'Brien says, you have these people in these think tanks um, that come up with these bright ideas about how to strip wealth from the economy, as though those people that are gaining on gaming the system, if you will, as though they don't have to live there, but they do. A lot of people in the United States, in the UK, a lot of people made money during the pandemic. It was, I mean, they made so much money, you have to wonder, how did it all start in the first place? That's the kind of money that was made from the pandemic. Joan Lawman, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Wednesday to you. Let me see. Anastasia, Isabel. Oh, that's not for me. That's for Anastasia. Okay. Let me see. So now the deranged Karen is accusing Megan of taking pics of Charlotte while she sleep, just to sell to the tabloids. I heard that earlier, but I didn't pay much attention to it because I didn't think that in any way possible that she believed that from Megan. I mean, the amount of heat that would come from something like that, I wouldn't accuse Kate of doing that, and I certainly wouldn't never accuse Megan of doing that. I don't. I think when it comes to in person and such, kids are off limit. Now, briefing against the parents to that can harm the kids, fine. I'm sure they're okay with that. But any type of direct conflict like that, I would not accuse either side of that. Certainly not the Sussexes, and not even the Cambridges. They have photos that they share amongst the family that have not been leaked. I'm certain about that. They have photos that they have, shared on whatever means. I'm sure the Queen has plenty photos of the Sussex children, and of course, they were not shared even after she passed away, when all of her stuff was up for grabs with that family. So I wouldn't put that on anyone. I refuse to believe that that anyone in that family is going to do something like that with the images of those kids. If that were true, we would have seen it already. And trying to shop photos of children that is way too dangerous. I mean, think about this. When the Daily Mail had ran those images of these Archie at the 4th of July parade, they obscured his face. They didn't even want to show his face because they didn't want the heat that comes with it. They wanted to, show that they're out and doing things, but they didn't even want to show his face. So I wouldn't suspect that there would be any value to something like that for anyone. But it's not to say that someone, within their um, courtiers or whatever, it's not to say that they wouldn't try, because I think the courtiers do a lot of shady stuff. But yeah, I don't want to believe that that's possible for any of them in the family. But thank you for your comment. Okay, let me see. These people can try putting Kate Middleton on a pedestal all they want, being falsely but on a pedestal doesn't fool people and doesn't make Kate feel better about herself. Look at her. Yeah, I mean, she is on the verge of collapse from it. She is. She whatever she's using to prop herself up. Maybe she has some type of you know means of propping herself up to get through these tough times. Maybe some I don't know, shall we say home remedy? Maybe she has some home remedy that I'm sorry. But yeah, maybe there's some home remedy that she has picked up that could, like some old wives' tale, or, something that she may have learned as a child to cope with these situations, some type of relaxation exercise, or something, maybe some type of herbal remedy or something. I'm sure she has I'm sure she has some way of dealing with those stressful times in her life. So I wouldn't worry about it. She's trust me, she's well fortified to deal with the tough times. I'm sure she has picked up something that settles her nerves. Maybe meditation, a plain brown paper bag with a magic elixir. There's ways of dealing with these things. Oh man. But there's ways of dealing with these things, and what's understood need not be said. So she'll be okay. She'll be all right. She'll be all right. She's 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 learned from the best. All right, she'll be all right. So here's another image of today's crowds on the streets of London. They're not going anywhere. Um, and this is the backdrop of the coronation. Now, when they say people are going to protest on the coronation day, I think the size of those protests are going to grow between now and Archie's birthday, which is the coronation day. I prefer to remember that it's Archie's birthday and not coronation day. But yeah, so Keenan, Kate, and Workshop Wheel, they are going to have their hands full by the time they get to the throne. Okay, let me see, Baron. It was the night nanny that was fired for inappropriate behavior, taking pictures of Archie. Yeah, they did fire someone. Now I didn't hear it had anything to do with photos, but I know someone um was dismissed, and gosh, I don't even want to know, because it is unnerving for me to think that Archie could have been in peril, um, you know, on more than one occasion. And yeah, so I don't even want to know. I think it's unfortunate that that they could not just have their first child in peace with the love and support of their families on both sides of the Atlantic, um, or should I say, from their paternal sides. Um, I think that's very unfortunate, upsetting to think about something like that for a child. Let me see. Oh yeah, and to your point, Black Queen, I did see the comment that you made about the well child, but all I could find was the memo, and I really wanted something from their website, so I may do that tomorrow. Just to have something extra to go with it. But I did see that there was not the memo, but the statement from Harry, and I wasn't even sure that it excuse me, that it was real. I need to verify things, and since I didn't see it on Archwell, and since I couldn't find it on the Well Child, I decided to not talk about it today. Don't want to walk into any of those traps, you know what I mean? So when I see certain things on the interweb or the social media, whatever, unless there's more information to be had, I'd rather wait until I have everything, because leave it to the derangers or something like that. And sometimes the squatties may change the wording on something, or, throw something out there. And I just didn't see enough to share it. So I will do that tomorrow. But I did see it, but I will do that tomorrow when I have more to share with it. Okay. And then right here, firefighters, university workers, communication staff, key workers, teachers, hospital staff, events workers, transport staff, office workers, retail staff, IT workers, emergency workers, and street cleaners. All these people are fighting for a living wage. Do you hear me? All these people all these people are fighting for a living wage. So I don't know who this message is for, if it's just for, the government in general, or if there's a certain sector of the population that they're addressing, but they are demanding their fair share. They want to, they want a living wage. So I hope that they got the message, whoever they're addressing. I hope yes, Mo Shannon, I hope they spelled it out properly so that they would get the message. But let me pull that down. I don't know if it's on your screen or just mine, but I got numbers up there and I can't see behind it. Stand united. They cannot imprison all of us. So there you go. That's right. Do do do. The Tories, bless the Tories. Isn't that what they were singing at that football match? Do 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 do, bless the Tories. That's what they were saying, right? Bless the Tories. I think it was bless the Tories. Yeah, that was probably it. They were saying to bless the Tories. Father God above, please bless the Tories. That's what they were chanting. Bless the Tories. What a nice crowd of people to be so kind and thoughtful, to want to send their prayers and well wishes to a well meaning political party like the Tories, right? Do, do, do. Bless the Tories. What's that, Mo Shannon? Um, hashtag something to Tories. No, at Tories. Okay. Okay. Yes. Is that like Greek or Latin for bless the Tories? I can't tell. I'm kind of rusty on my Latin. Yeah, so Mo Shannon says, bless the Tories using that ancient tongue known as Latin. All right, well, thank you, Mo Shannon. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. Oh man. So okay. I think I understand what they're saying. I think they're making their point. Um, all right, so let me move on. Mm, as a matter of fact, let me try something. Let me try something here. I've tried other ways, but I haven't tried this way. That doesn't work either. Mm-mm. Okay, Sheila Watson, I think you're onto something. I have to find a better way to label these things. And then sometimes I'll look at stuff and I'll say, "Oh wait, that label doesn't make sense. Maybe I should do it this way," only to confuse myself even further. Uh, oh well, there's room in this world for me too, I hope. Okay. And then moving on, right here. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. The NHS, even though there were teachers on the street today, let us not forget the NHS workers, the ones who really did the heavy lifting during the pandemic, the ones who they wanted people to step outside of their homes and applaud for them, which I thought that was so corny. But yeah, those are the people, one of the first groups that were calling for strikes. But I think the rail workers, I think they were actually the first. But yeah, so solidarity today, solidarity forever. Hasta la victoria siempre, until the day of victory. Yeah, anytime there's like union stuff going on, I get very Che Guevara. It's like I want to put on my beret and my Susan Hussey black turtleneck. I want to I want to put on my beret, my army coat, army fatigue pants, and my Susan Hussey militant black turtleneck, and go out there and hit the streets, pumping my fist in the air and shouting from the rooftops. Solidarity today, solidarity forever. Okay. Okay, so right here, Walkout Wednesday. So I guess that's what they're calling it. Now, there is one paper who is making a front page out of it, and that, of course, is the National. I'm sure there's other papers, but that's the one that I found, mostly because I follow them on the interweb. Walkout Wednesday is what they're calling it. And also, PM mocked for claim Brexit not hitting pockets. So I don't know how true that is, but apparently they seem to think that there is denial amongst the um, Tory party that the Brexit is the reason why there are problems with the British economy. But yeah, as they say, recollections may vary. And then here you can see that disparity. You got people out there on the streets protesting. And meanwhile, in Buckingham Palace, Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla are joined by Alexa Chung as they host a Buckingham Palace reception to celebrate British East and Southeast Asian communities. Are you really having a reception in the very gilded rooms of the Buckingham Palace while there is mayhem on the streets? Are you really doing that? Now, this is a very formal state dinner. I love to use that as a contrast with all the beautiful gold fixtures and such. Arrogance where there should be shame, but there is no shame because of the sense of entitlement even though people are screaming, we need help, they are being ignored by that institution and, of course, by the government. They're being ignored. Their voices are not being heard. They don't care. And in this very same year, 2023, they are going to go on with the coronation. Now, as I said, London is looking a lot like Paris. Well, it's also looking a lot like Scotland. It looks a lot like the Scottish people protesting, or should I say, um, rallying for their independence or protesting. But yeah, it looks a lot like that. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. So, hasta la victoria siempre. Hardworking taxpayer, tax avoider. Now, I'm sure that Lord Nappyhead is paying some kind of tax, right? Maybe. But anyway, so there are hardworking taxpayers like the people in medicine, and then there's the 1% who do everything they can to avoid tax. Unlike the 1%, most of us cannot put our money offshore like that, but they can afford to do that, like as they say in the Panama Papers. Now, I'm not saying that Lord Nappyhead is guilty of any of those things, but he has been referred to on several occasions as a tax dodger, tax avoider, whatever you want to call him. Lord Nappyhead, of course, being the racially ambiguous owner of the Daily Fail. And of course, Camilla Tominey. Well, we talked about Camilla Tominey yesterday, and there is still reverberations all over social media about that situation where the lady just simply said, "You make stuff up. You always." And if I may share that little sound bite with you guys again, one of my best moments since Christmas, where she just literally tore into her. She said what so many other people have been thinking. And let's see here. Okay. Oh, there it is. I went right past it.
Listen, you don't listen to contributions. You make stuff up, and you should be held to account for the fibs you've told to people. Well, listen, you don't listen to contributions. You make stuff up, and you should be held to account for the fibs you've.
You don't listen. You don't listen, and you make stuff up. You should be held to account. Oh my God. That was rich. I just love that in so many. You don't listen. You don't listen, and you make things up. I think I just accidentally took myself out of the chat for a second there. Okay, but I'm back. All right. So anyway, enough of that. Top 10 audiobooks on Audible. Well, there's Prince Harry's Spare in the number one spot. And if you notice, I didn't even bother to show you the other books because I really don't care. There's Prince Harry's book, and then there's the other. Okay, I'm done with that. Jill Biden, you guys, thank goodness Jill Biden seemed to be doing well. She had surgery recently to have some cancerous lesions removed, but they released a photo of her on the left there, Dr. Jill Biden, looking very well, I might add. So I'm glad for her. I love Dr. Jill, and I pray for her health and well-being. And to this February the 1st, this being African American History Month, Black History Month. Today's Royal Sussex was brought to you by Cambridge Curl, the Invisible Contract Special. Cambridge Curl. If you want to give your hair a whirl, Cambridge Curl, the Invisible No Lie Relaxer, Royal Relaxer. Cambridge Curl. So give your hair a whirl. Try Cambridge Curl. And of course, out of solidarity to African Americans, you of course have what's her name here? Kate. You have Kate also partaking in the celebrations of Black History Month. Kate Middleton, of course, now Princess of Wales, Kate. As you know, she is constantly reaching out and grabbing and touching and caressing Black people. So no greater friend to the African American community has there ever been, or to the Black community anywhere, than Kate. So when she's not part of a vast conspiracy to ruin someone's life, she may actually do some good in this world. And so, as you can see, as a way to show solidarity, she was at a function and noticed somebody's cornrows and was completely obsessed with it. And it didn't take long before she herself went and got her hair pulled. And so the results are stunning. I have to say, when I saw it, I was completely stunned. I mean, I was so stunned, I was speechless. I tell you, I was speechless. I couldn't utter a word for hours. I could not utter a word for hours. So, Cambridge Curl, the no lie royal relaxer. Cambridge Curl. Happy Black History Month. Cambridge Curl. So there you have it. And not to be outdone, you have the Royal Fro. The Royal Fro. If you want a good comb out, styling, and setting spray, try Royal Fro. When your fro deserves the royal treatment, that is when you want to use Royal Fro. It's a favorite of Afro Annie's. Royal Fro. And of course, there's a special offer with Black History Month. Royal Fro. And of course, if you go into a shop and you have your purse strap in a knot, like Afro Annie, you might even get offered a better deal. So when you go into your beauty supply and you're looking for your Royal Fro, make sure you got your purse strap in a knot. If you want the best offer possible. Royal Fro. So join me and Afro Annie in wishing all African Americans everywhere and people of African descent throughout the world, wishing each and every one of you a very happy and very informed Black History Month. Royal Fro. All right, you guys, I am done for today. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Oh, by the way, I want to give a special shout out to the people with our book drive. I almost forgot about the book drive. As you know, with Spare, we've had a little book drive where we were giving out copies of the book. Now, that being said, don't you dare email me again about these books. We're done with the books for now. But Sister and Cece, Black Queen, Lydia Washington, Sherry Ware, I hope I got everybody. And even I kicked in with a couple of copies myself. So, yes, thank you all for this very successful book drive. If I've missed anybody's name, I do apologize. If you haven't received your book, but let's say you've heard from Lydia or Sherry or Black Queen or Sistren, if you've heard from any of them or myself, well, actually not from me. Someone else took care of that for me. Thank you, Lydia Washington. But if you heard from any of us, then you know your book is on the way. So don't email me. If they told you it's on the way, it's on the way. Yes. Thank you so much. I knew it was something else I meant to mention. I was supposed to mention, and that was it. So anyway, very happy about that. Very happy to contribute to the sales and distribution of Spare because I love it and I want it to be as big and successful as possible. So I think that we have done our small part to make sure that that book is seen by more eyes than not. So that is superb. I am so happy. And as I said, Mo Shannon has just finished the audio version. She was totally taken away by it, and I'm so glad that she had a chance to hear Harry's soothing voice. Yeah, so that's it. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody that participated. Fun times. All right, you guys, I will be looking for the last word of the day very soon. And then I am going to ease on down the road. And of course, as you probably noticed, I need to return a phone call. So let me see. What's that, Mo Shannon? The Spare and Audible is everything. I'm enjoying it so much, guys. Love y'all, pal. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Cookies and Cream says, everyone, the contact information for ABC to complain about the misinformation on The View. Really? I didn't hear about that. Was there something new that I missed? Really? I didn't hear about anything. But yeah, if you guys feel like there is something that had, well, I've seen a couple of gems from them myself, but yeah, make your voices heard. That's the best way to do it. Lorna Williams says, thanks, Baron, my squad and squaddies. Have a great rest of the evening or early morning wherever you are. Good night. Thank you, Lorna Williams. I'm trying to restrict conversations within the human species. We haven't identified where that material used to create those tectonic plates on Nana's head comes from. So until we can identify it, it's probably best not to speak of it, lest we should conjure up some evil from the past. You know what I mean? It it might open up some kind of chasm or something. They already said there's like some kind of green comet or meteorite or something in the night sky. And with all that going on, we don't need to throw Nana's wig in there too. So yeah, I'm gonna abstain from that until we have more information. We have to identify it first. Let me see. Oh man, yeah, we have to identify Nana's the source of Nana's hair. We have to identify it before we you know, give it any more exposure. Also, we have to be prepared to run or what is that, fight or flight if you've ever gotten close to that hair, I'm sure. I mean, sometimes it just seems like it moves independent of Nana, and that can't be a good thing. Gwendolyn Daniels says, hilarious. Good night, squaddies, family, and Baron. Have a great evening and stay safe. Thank you, Gwendolyn Daniels. I appreciate it. As a matter of fact, Gwendolyn, that sounds like a last word to me. So with that, let's give our daily salute to our queens, our queen in heaven, our queen of hearts, and our queen of everything, or California. All right. Thank you very much. Let me see here. All right, I think we're good. All right, good night, everybody, and thank you all for watching Royal Sussex. And with that, I am going to Ginger Avenge. And why do I think I'm forgetting something? I don't know why, but I got this weird feeling like I am forgetting something. Well, I did that, so that's not it. That's not, yeah, I don't know what it could be. All right, maybe it was nothing. Okay, I guess I'm done. Cue Ginger Avenger. All right, see you guys. Go Ginge. Go Ginge. Go Ginge.
Wokeness, before woke was a word in the
Okay, you know what? I did find the sound bite. I didn't find the video, but I found the sound bite. So if you're still here, I found the sound bite for Brother James O'Brien, where he spoke about the incredible amount of wealth. Okay, let me do this. Let me do this, and you can hear it for yourself. It's about 2 minutes long. Well, yeah, about 2.5 minutes long.
If there are valid reasons why you think that it is wrong to put history of historic houses on display in historic houses, or to put history of plants on display in a botanic garden, but most pertinently in the context of plants, how did that get to be here? And most obviously in the context of houses, I always think, and I know you do too now, of that wonderful story. I've got to stop telling it, but it tickles me so much. I told it to David Harewood in the podcast that was released yesterday, because he's had some experiences and he's been making a film absolutely on point for this issue. But when the woman who used to work in the National Trust, property, rang us, so we must have done this topic before, because we took that call. And the woman rang in and she was showing a school group around a stately home, and one of the lads said, "Excuse me, miss, where did all the money come from to buy this place, please?" It was like young Keith was on the tour of the. Was it you? Because it was a few years ago. Young Keith was there with his inquiring mind and his curious nature. He said, "Excuse me, miss, where did all the money come from to build this stately home, please?" And she was sort of conscious of, I don't know what you'd call it, political correctness, wokeness, before woke was a word in the context that it's currently deployed. So she started to, business and sugar and this very patrician voice behind her, sort of sotto voce, whispers in her ear, "Tell him it was the enslavement of Africans and state-sponsored piracy." And she said, "Well, I can't tell him that. They'll throw me out." And he said, "Well, they can't throw me out. I live here." And that just seems to me, you know how fond I am of the simple summary of a complicated issue. That sums it up, right? And the Earl of Harewood, David Harewood was telling me, you can see the clue there in what his documentary's about, can't you? Has got all sorts of information on display about how colonialism and slavery created the fortune that his family pile is still built on. So is he woke? Is he, as the owner or the chatelaine or the inhabitant of Harewood House, revealing history of Harewood House that encompasses colonialism and slavery, is he indulging in preposterous posturing by people who are so out of touch with the sentiment of patriotic Britain? Katie's in Bristol. Katie, what's going on?
Well, I think it's all made.
Okay, so there you have it. Excuse me. That was what I was looking for earlier when I mentioned those country houses. Is apparently that was a story that James O'Brien was rather fond of, and as you can see, when it came to the wealth of the country house, he the owner of the house, or one of the family members in the house, I guess he was the owner of the house, the ancestral owner of this fine country manor. There's a school group going through there, and some child asked that very simple question. And I love that because all these years, I never really thought about it. You watch Downton Abbey and you think that all the money came from the land and from the peasants and the taxes. The lord of the manor was able to collect from the peasants and the farmers working the estate, when a lot of those houses were built and eventually subsidized by the income from the transatlantic slave trade. And then after the abolishment of slavery, for a very long time, they were able to get money from the government. They were eventually paid off by the government. The government paid reparations to the slave owners, and not, or should I say, the slave holders, the owners, and not to the actual enslaved people. And so that's like decades and decades of ancestral wealth that was passed on from one generation to the next. Money which has only just been paid off as of 2015. We've learned 2015 they finally paid off that debt. Unlike or should I say, just like with the people of Haiti having to pay off the French for their freedom, and the French, they were compensated for an industry that should not have existed in the first place. And Haiti has been perpetually poor ever since. So that is what I wanted to share with you. And I saved it. And maybe I didn't save it where I thought I saved it. I went and looked someplace else, and there it was, like the first thing I saw. Let's see. Elaine Parker was asking about Camilla Tominey. No, that was it. I just wanted an excuse to shade her again. So I started yesterday and I felt like doing it again today. And I didn't make it part of the thumbnail yesterday. So I just wanted to play that little sound bite of her being called out by one of her colleagues, if you will. And again, being exposed as Camilla Tominey, the liar. But no big revelation or nothing like that. But I just wanted to make sure more people were exposed to her character than not. So that was it. Okay. Anything else, anybody? We've heard from that soundbite I was looking for. Let's see. Mary says that was great hearing about it, Baron, but they all acknowledge it, but no one is paying us for this. They try shaming us for bringing it up. Well, in most cases, that's true. I think, I'm going to say in most cases, there's probably a lot of ignorance about it. And then, of course, there's the ambivalence about it. And then, of course, there's the deniers and the gaslighters. So everybody's like coming from their own disposition and beliefs with it. But for the most part, people with the power to actually do something about it would rather try to let time, I guess, take care of it. They don't want to. They don't want to pay up, and they don't want to talk about it. They would rather that over time people will forget about it, but people don't forget, and they won't forget. It's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be a thing. So, and let's see here. Mo Shannon says they'll never value Black folks, whether you're talking during the slave trade or even today. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this for every person who has the right intentions. You have so many more people that it's an uncomfortable topic, and so they would just rather move on. And of course, as I always say, fatigue. That fatigue sets in, and you. Oh God, why is that face there? Yuck! I'm sorry. Oh, there it is again. Yuck. I looked up and I saw a remnant of Easter Island, and I wasn't sure what my eyes were telling me. And by the way, you guys, I hope you all had a chance to go and subscribe to Claudia Bolin, who really started the whole conversation yesterday about Camilla, or actually 2 days ago, I think it was, only for us to find this little nugget. And then, of course, because I don't like to let it go, I had to bring it up again. So, oh God, let me get that off the screen. Oh, yes. Yes, I have fun with this one. Okay, you guys, I better go. An hour and 39 minutes? Say it isn't so. Maybe I have time to go and make myself a beverage. Oh, wait, I don't have any plain paper bags lying about, so maybe I don't have time for a beverage. Okay, guys, good night. I'm going to end broadcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, dear leader, or anyway, thanks. Okay. All right. Good night, you guys.